Hey guys, Marcus Melnick here with Firearm Mentor. Hope you're enjoying my YouTube channel. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. These little things are free to you and really help the channel. I appreciate your support. Enjoy. Thank you. The views expressed are not those of local community broadcasting, WYML LP, or its management, volunteers, or underwriters. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Personal Safety Show. This is Marcus Melnick with Firearm Mentor and Stress to Logic, your host. And we are continuing the conversation about boys' state and girls' state with Jim Brusek. You said that a lot of people don't understand what kind of government we have. We have a democracy, don't we?
We have a republic.
What's the difference?
Republic is run by the people for the people. We vote our leaders into position. You go to South America and see all these democracies that the guy's been in charge for the last 40 years.
Right. In our society, the sense of national pride isn't as pervasive as it was perhaps when you were growing up, when I was growing up, the months beyond 9/11. I mean, it seems like a lot of people in society today have the motto of, on my honor, I'll do my best to help myself and screw the rest. And sounds like Boy State undoes that a little bit, which is absolutely fantastic. What are the costs of the program to the participants?
Okay, to the participants, for boys, it's $400. And for the girls, I believe it's $350. And when I say that, our post personally, if I have a student like I did 2 years ago, I had a set of twins, and we go through all the same. I don't talk to the parents. I talk to the students, and I'll explain why in a second. And so when they fill out the paperwork and it comes back to me, I do the next interviews, and then I fill out the rest of the paperwork, and we get them involved. So it was about 2 weeks prior to getting on the bus, and one of the two, I couldn't tell the two apart, that was for sure. And they said, Mr. Brusek, is there some way that we can get financing to do this? And I said, do you need it for you and your brother or just you? And he says, we both need it. And I said, put your paperwork in. The check will join your paperwork downstate. I will not allow any boy or girl that has talked to us that wants to go to Boy State or Girl State to come to us and tell us, we can't afford it, but I'd love to go. I'm taking that excuse away. Here's your payment. I've got Legion's posts that Legionnaires have paid out of pocket for students that they've had. So there's a buy-in by us. And so we will make sure that if a student wants to go, we'll find a way. Again, the difference is in rural America, the grandparents will pay for it, or the local bank will write it off. There's got all sorts of different ways. And I don't talk to the parents because this is the first time for many of these students that they're going away for a substantial period of time. They're only going to be one more year and they're going off to college. I had a student 2 years ago that said, Mr. Brusek, I want to go, but I want to live with so-and-so. And I said, I can tell you right now, that's never going to happen. And I said, you're going to end up with some boy from Southern Illinois that's wearing his first pair of shoes, and you're going to have to learn how to deal with it. That's what part of growing up is going to do to you. And so they make friendships down there that have lasted a lifetime. And we give them as much preparation to go down there. We take as much trepidation away from them and we let them read all that they can read. And we have only had one in my period of time here. We've only had one boy that came home. He just said, it's not for me. So the program is not overly expensive, and again, that type of money money. If somebody says to us, I want to go, but I can't afford it, we'll take that excuse away and we will find a way to cover it for him or her.
Are you kidding? You know how much teenagers eat? That's a bargain.
Yeah, well, the cafeterias are open. There's three different cafeterias that they can eat in on base. And what happens is on the campus, that's the only thing that's on campus is Boys State. We had numbers up in close to 2,000 boys in a week.
Wow.
Now we're struggling to get 500. And a lot of that, and I will hang it on the word called apathy. And it's the apathy not only of the schools not letting us in to talk to people, and I understand why, especially in Chicago. I have to go get fingerprinted. I have to go get, everything to make sure that I'm a good person. I understand that. That doesn't bother me a bit. But what happens is that the Post, we just ran into that in here in the state, that we got a student from one of these little towns, and we called the Post, and the Post said, "What's Boys State?" Mm. So we have our own work to do in our own program. So if you were to look and see some of the alumni that came out of Boys State, you'd be amazed. President Kennedy, President Clinton. Who was the movie critic?
Ebert Siskel.
Ebert.
Okay.
Is a graduate. And there's Supreme Court justices. There's judges. I think Michael, and I always butcher his last name, and I don't mean to. Frakes. He's, I think, our state treasurer or comptroller.
Oh yes, I slaughter his name too.
Okay, he's a graduate, and they walk all different walks of life, and it's really interesting. I didn't know anything about it growing up. My father served in World War II. He was stationed in Panama. He wasn't a joiner, so he didn't join any of the things. So we never knew about it. I was in Boy Scouts, and Boy Scouts didn't even talk about it. So.
Yeah, I'm curious. Wouldn't the Boy Scouts be a good recruiting source for you?
Yes, and our Post, up until this next month, we hosted, I think at our heyday, we were at 3 Boy Scout troops and 5 Cub Scout packs.
All right.
We hosted them, because they ran into a lot of difficulty with, churches because of their way that they had their leadership, and they didn't, fully vet them. And we didn't want that stuff to go away. We don't want that program to go away. Right now, we're down to 1 Boy Scout troop. And it's not because of anything that we've done, is that students are not joining. They don't see the benefit.
I've got some connections in the Boy Scouts. I'm going to facilitate an introduction and see if I can get you in the door there.
Okay.
All right. No guarantees, but I'll fire off an introductory email between you and some of the leaders that I know in the northwest suburbs, and maybe that'll help the program. I'm not sure.
Anything that we can go out and touch and to talk to, we're willing to do it.
Okay, very good. Can you? Let me ask you obviously, you have people that are teaching these types of things to the kids. And they're probably from all walks of life, whether the military, law enforcement. You mentioned all those. Are there chaperones, and are these chaperones parents? Are they previous participants? How does someone get involved?
Okay. We don't call them chaperones. We just say staff.
Okay.
And for a normal program at this point, we have over 100 staff. The majority of them are either Legionnaires or their SAL. Okay. We do have a lot of outside assistants too, but they're vetted first. And the way that it goes is everybody has their own. Not everybody has their own counselor, but each group has their own counselor, and they all work together to get the programs done. And so, yes, there's we don't know about parents. Parents come over and they drop their son off, and then they leave. And then if they're going to pick them up or if they're going to be on a bus going home, we take care of that. But yes, it is a supervised program. If you drive down there, the first thing you do is surrender your keys. There's no going off the campus. And so we've not had any of those type of problems for as long as I've been involved with it. I don't know what's happened in the past.
That's terrific. This is also a really good segue into college preparation, not only being away from home on their own kind of for a week. It's a good taste for the kids that haven't gone to camp and haven't had that experience. But is there college credit available or scholarships? And how does Boise State help a student with college admissions?
If you're planning on going to any of the service schools, and when I say service schools, I'm talking about the tier ones, West Point, Air Force Academy, Naval Academy, there is a spot on their application where it says, "Did you attend?" And if you checked it off, you have additional points towards getting in. Most institutions acknowledge Boy State and Girl State, but don't give it any weight. And so one of the things that I found out that students have to do now is they have to write an essay to get into college. And I make sure that the boys that attend, I tell them, you make sure there's at least one or two paragraphs in there about your attendance at Boise State. Because if they're reading these things, they're going to see that you're not just a bookworm, you're not just a jock, you're looking to improve yourself in so many different ways. And that's what basically the universities are looking to do, is to get you and groom you and make you into a full-fledged adult. And so, yes, we have got all those things going on. We hope and we pray that we can get some of these universities to start putting it in there and giving it some weight. But I think it's too political for them to get involved like that.
Right.
So I think we're going to continue to do it the way we're doing it.
Very good. So this is a terrific program. I'm a little disappointed I didn't go to it, but I'm a little bit aged out right now, as they say. But this is obviously your area of expertise. I have not gone through the program. I mean, you've told me about it. What final thoughts can you offer about the program? And maybe I didn't ask you something that I should have asked you. The floor is yours.
Okay. Well, I appreciate it. One of the first things that I think, and you mentioned it, but I don't think we gave it any weight, is scholarships. Through the course of Boise State, there are a number of different scholarships available to the boys that are attending Boise State. And it's all done at each state level, okay? And then they can get, I think one of the scholarships is called the Samsung Scholarship, and then there's the Oratorical Scholarship, and then there's an Essay Scholarship. And so, they're going to amount to some money. It's not going to be, they're not going to write you off for the full 4 years, but it's something that you have, excuse me, have the availability to get additional funding. One thing that we didn't talk about, and you probably don't know about it, it's called Boys Nation. The top 2 participants from every program, 49 states, go to Washington, D.C. for another week with the actual politicians, and they're giving all sorts of briefings. They're talked to every day. And those boys have additional scholarships that they can earn also.
You're right. I didn't know about that. I'm so glad you brought that up. Thank you.
It's not a contest that you're going to, because you're the best looking guy, you're going to get picked. It's voted on by the peers. And what happens is those top two who got the most points, they go into Boys Nation. So when we're talking about the programs for what we're doing, and they walk away with a lot of things, such as they get a photo journal, they get a citizenship manual, and there's an essay contest. And some of the things that they're going to be doing at the week is they're learning about patriotism. They're learning about elections and how important an individual can be in an election. There's leadership discussions, both from inside and outside portrayals. There's political action committees that develop with the students. There's the Scholastic Bowl. They're still students, so we're still going to keep them involved. There's multiple seminars, at least 2 a day. The state police put on a program. Then there's sports. And I had mentioned earlier, I think I said band. If you play a musical instrument, and if it's an oboe, it's one thing, but if it's a bass, you're not going to schlep that down to Eastern Illinois. Eastern Illinois opens up their band orchestra equipment to our citizens, and they, by the Friday that they're going to be leaving, that Thursday night, they are playing a concert for the entire troop, the entire group of people. And so they're learning to work together. They're learning to do things. They're learning to be different. There's a media. They've got radio station. They got, that sort of stuff. Recreation. And then there's the Legionnaire connection. You can't be in the Legion if you've never served in the armed forces. We're not trying to promote that. But if you do, then you have another open door for you somewhere down the way. And like I said, there's a number of scholarships available, and it's just a program that is one of the best kept secrets, which shouldn't be a secret.
Well, hopefully having you on the radio show will reduce the secrecy of it. Can you share your contact information, website, social media, how people can get a hold of you to become involved either as a donor, staff member, volunteer, their parent, they're a student? By the way, I absolutely love the fact that you only talk to the students. It pushes them into advocating for themselves. That's just my little sidebar. But can you share your contact information so our listeners can get involved?
Yes, I can. But before that, I just want to relate to what you just said. Some of these boys have never been pushed like that. And so to them, this is very, very stressful that I'm talking only to them. I've had to learn different things. I call usually in the evening, and I keep a log of who I'm calling and when I'm calling. And after about 3 times or 4 times that I don't get a call back, I then text them.
Yes.
Now, I'm not a big texter, but I text them to, again, give them that opportunity. And I'll do that once or twice. If by that time I have not heard from them, I then call the parents. And I introduce myself and tell them that I've been trying to get a hold of their son because he's shown an interest in this program. I usually get a call about a day later. They procrastinate. They don't see. It's not like being in business. Somebody gives you a call, and it's a potential client. You're going to take that call, and so they don't see that it doesn't all tie together. And I had one boy tell me he turns his phone off by his parents' directive. So I've got to say it that way. 9:00 at night. There better never be a phone ringing after 9:00 at night, and that they can't have it anywhere near the table for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. I support that, and I think that's fine. But when you get a call and you're saying, "Hi, I've called a couple of times before. Could you please give me a call?" And once in a while I find out I have the wrong phone number. And then when I go to send an email after we've talked, all of a sudden I find out that some of the emails that these students are using are from their high school.
Right.
And the high school blocks them.
Right.
So I then have to call them back and deal again with the student. But I always say, if your parents have any questions whatsoever, and then when I have them, depending where the bus is going to stop, and we usually in Cook County, we have 3 different areas where the bus stops, and the parents are there. And I don't know the boys. I've not met most of them other than, all the paperwork that I go through with them. And I'll have my Legion stuff on. I'll talk to them. And then the parents will come up and talk to me. And then, some of them express a little trepidation that, their son's going away for a week. And, so you try and alleviate that. I give them my business card and I say, here's my business card. And here is the phone number right down to Eastern Illinois University. It's manned 24 hours a day. So again, you're entrusting to us, your most precious thing you can give us. We're going to give it back to you improved. We're not going to give you any issues. So that's where I'm at. So going back to me, I can be reached by phone. My phone number is 773-263-4726. That is a cell. I very seldom shut it off, even when it's on a charger. But I certainly hate to get calls in the middle of the night. So if we could do it during normal business hours, I'd be very excited. My email address is jmbrusek. Again, phonetically, that would be Juliet Mike, Bravo Romeo, Uniform Sierra, Echo Kilo @gmail.com. You can go to the American Legion website, Illinois, I should say, American Legion. You can go to any state, and they'll all have something about their particular program. But if you go to illegion.org, you'll find all the information that we talked about here, plus it'll get a little bit deeper into the program for you. Questions, concerns, don't hesitate to pick up the phone and call myself or any of the phone numbers that might be in the on the website.
I'd also, just so that everyone gets it, I'm going to spell out the 2 websites that I'm aware of. The first one, you said Legion, so it's IL for Illinois,
Yes.
LEGION.org. It's not, so it looks like someone's sick, ILL, and then it's Egion. So it's ILLEGION.org. And there's another one, I happen to have the paperwork you gave me in front of me. It's Illinois, spelled out, boysstate.org. That's ILLINOISBOYSSTATE.org. I hope that some of the listeners will get involved, and I will certainly give you an introduction to my people at the Boy Scouts. Jim, this is an absolute delight for me to have you on the radio program. I really appreciate your time. This is a terrific program. It's positive. How many times in the news do you see positive things? It's mostly negative. So I'm very happy to help promote this program.
That's why it makes the news. One of the other areas that they can find a lot of information, and a lot of it's conflicting, is every state has their own YouTubes for the boy state and girl state. So you can go there and search on the YouTube channels. And again, it's got Texas has got theirs. Texas always does everything big, and then there's New Hampshire that gets by. But again, you can take different perspectives around the country. So we want to get it out there, and we want to make a program that is, well, we've already lasted 88 years, so we're hoping we do it another 88.
Wonderful, wonderful. Again, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for the opportunity. I really appreciate it.
I want my listeners to know that this is my dream, teaching people about safety. If it weren't for you, if it weren't for my listeners, I couldn't live my dream. So on behalf of my family and myself, I want to thank each and every one of you for allowing me to live my dream. And I also want to continue to live my dream, and I'm excited to continue to spread the word of safety. Recently, I began a new service as a conference keynote speaker. So if anyone would like for me to speak at future events, or if anyone knows of an introduction or would like to discuss how we can work with one another, I'd love to do just that. The keynote speaking website is www.stress2logic.com. That is STRESS2logic.com. If you're aware of any conference speaking engagements where you'd like to have me speak, I'd love an introduction. You can always share my electronic business card, which is Marcus Melnick, MarcusMelnick.com. Now, back to the show. Stay tuned next week for another episode of the Personal Safety Show. And as always, thank you for listening. We have monthly concealed carry license CCL classes in the northwest suburbs of Chicago. Dates can be seen at firearmmentor.com/classes. If you have a question, we can be reached at www.firearmmentorcard.com. That is our electronic business card, has all of our contact information and links in it. It's the easiest way to get a hold of us. Until next time, stay safe out there, and I'll see you at the shooting range. This is Marcus Melnick from Firearm Mentor signing off. The views expressed are not those of local community broadcasting, WYML LP, or its management, volunteers, or underwriters.